I'm Chef Angie.
I'm Jill.
I'm Ernest Owens.
I'm Tanisha.
And we are Bound by Fire. So, after we've had our delicious lunch, let's get into it. So, Ernest, tell me a little about yourself, because you're so big in Philly, in the food scene, in the eat scene, in the to-be scene, life in Philadelphia. Let's talk a little about what you do, how you do it, and who is your audience?
That's a really great question. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So I am the editor of Eater Philly. That's my editorial into the food scene. I have a really great boy band, I like to say, of really great food folks that are it's the four of us, for Black queer men, known as the Lit Brothers. It's myself, it's Josh Eats Philly, and Gio's Table, and my best friend Jamarcus. And the four of us go to restaurants all over Philadelphia, all the bars, all the rooftops, and we just, go and see if you like it. And we tell people, the places that we love, that we feel like are places that are inclusive, that make us feel good and mean something. Because, in 2018, I wrote a piece for Philadelphia Magazine called Dining While Black. And it talked about the Philly food scene and, the hurdles and the interesting boundaries and things. And I met a lot of friends. I met Josh and George through those experiences. And one of my best friends who I've known my entire life, because I grew up in Houston, Texas.
Oh,
so,
why did I think you were a Philly boy?
No.
I did too, and then I heard some Southern.
I love that. No, it's so funny. My area code to my phone is 281. I've never changed my phone number. So if you ever want to know about me, it's the
I saw that. I'm like,
No, Houston. I was born in Chicago, but I grew up in Houston.
Okay.
And I came to Philadelphia to go to college, which is the University of Pennsylvania, where I studied communications, and that's when I became a proud.
Tattinger's is delicious, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But I
we
can
need
love
more.
bubbly.
I love bubbly.
And, from that experience, that's how I came to Philly, through college. And then I stayed. I fell in love with the city. I'm now celebrating my 10-year reunion at Penn. Been here for 14 years total. And I just fell in love with Philly and the food scene. My love language to Philly was restaurants, because that's where I met my boyfriend, now husband, in college. Restaurants was the one thing we can agree on to go out.
Do you remember La Terrace?
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Throwback.
La Terrace was my go-to
You got the throwback.
when I was dating my husband.
Delicious. It was delicious.
It was the best restaurant where you could get the best food, be seen, la-di-da,
That's what mean, to your point about being seen.
Yes.
That's where it started for us, and since then I fell in love with food. I've been writing about politics, social issues since then. And how I got this wonderful opportunity at Eater was a friend who just pushed me to say, you know what, you know a lot about food, why don't you do something different? Because I've always covered politics, race, all these social justice
I listened to
issues.
your podcast last night. I was like,
Whoa.
okay.
You listen to Ernestine speaking?
Yes, I did. I had to do my homework on you, Ernest.
Oh.
Earnestly.
It's fun, isn't it?
It's very much fun. I would love to be on it because
Let me know.
I have so many political things I would like to say.
Let's talk about it.
Yes.
So that was my role for such a long time. But food has always been my safe space, my refuge. So when people say, you do all this political talk, where do you go to just have a good time and relax? A restaurant, a bar. That's just what I know. That's how I grew up. And so since then, that's how I came to be. And being in the food scene as an editor of a very known publication, it's just been awesome. It's been unique and interesting. I know we're going to talk about some of these issues.
Well, and you are the editor of Philly Magazine.
So I was editor at large, and I'm the political writer at large.
So what does editor at large
So
mean?
basically, I get the free reign to write about whatever I want to write about.
In Philly Magazine?
Yeah,
Because,
I got freedom, yeah.
I won't say how old I am, but I've been around for a while.
Yes.
And that magazine has never been that nice to us.
When you say us, who do you mean?
Our people.
Black people?
Our people.
Correct.
And so I'm so intrigued
Yes.
that you are the editor at large, because tells me that they've been doing some thinking.
Yeah, I've been there. So I've been there since 2016. I started
Wow.
off as the LGBTQ editor.
Okay.
I was a columnist. I was a writer at large. I became editor at large. And then when I took on the role at Eater as the editor, which is a separate publication, I then moved to just being their political writer at large. So now I focus on politics at Philly Mag. And now I
Okay.
run the whole food section for Philly, Eater Philly.
Okay.
I made some decisions. I wanted to just be more versatile. I wanted to just expand my abilities. I always say, people say, what kind of writer are you? I say, I would say like a Meryl Streep. I want to do comedy. I want to do drama.
Yeah.
I want to do everything.
But you want people, you want to grab people's attention.
Yes, and I also wanted a space to just do things for leisure. Like I love
Yeah.
leisure writing because people would see like the writing I write. A lot of writing is very serious,
Right.
Very serious,
Right.
Reporting. But I wanted to do things like, but people see my lifestyle say, well, you're always out eating and traveling. What are your thoughts about food and restaurants? And I was like, well, I wasn't getting published anywhere to write about that. And then Eater came along, and that changed my life because I was able to then be able to let people know, here is who I think are the best restaurants.
Okay, so let's talk about how you are probably much better than, we won't mention his name.
Don't.
He is the biggest hater
Oh.
in Philadelphia.
Ooh.
Food writer.
Okay.
And I don't care.
Okay.
I will
Writer
say
or
what
critic?
critic.
Okay.
We got restaurant owners here.
Listen, we're not restaurant owners. We're
Okay.
talking. You and I are
I
talking.
was.
This is an Angie and Ernest conversation.
And I was a restaurant owner, and I'm just saying to you that we, as people of color, and people who eat out,
That's
and
right.
and Jill as a restaurant owner,
Yeah.
who is serving Southern food, we have to keep it real.
Yeah.
And keeping it real means that we have to talk about the food, not
Right.
the person's personality,
That's right.
because you can see him a little.
And
I
I need
hear
to.
you.
I want to ask you a question while we're talking. Did you get a bad review?
I got a bad review on my personality, not on my food.
Right, and that's
wow.
that is
And people
Crap.
literally
That's
wrote
crap.
him and said, "How dare you talk about this woman and her daughter's personality and not the food? You didn't say one thing about the food," and gave me one bell.
Wow.
One bell. Guess what? You're canceled as far as I'm concerned.
I wrote the book, The Case of Cancel Culture. So,
Yeah. Well, he's canceled. And I don't,
think-
it's who you smooze up to. Who you smoozing up to now?
I think the real thing that has been very fun about what we do here,
Do you smooze up to you, Jill?
you know, my work. You know what I would say is that we are very much, we do allow, our process at Eater Philly has been, I don't like to use the word objective, but I like to say that we have a real fun criteria.
Okay.
We have multiple people that try our restaurant, not just me. I might be the lead writer on a piece.
Sure.
But we do
You
several different
confer
I have
with
a team
people.
with different
Right.
people.
Right.
We look at various factors about restaurants, what location they're at, what is it? Like if you're a blockbuster. I really treat food like I treat films, right? Is it an indie film?
Right.
Is it a blockbuster
Right,
film?
right.
Is it a studio? Is it coming from a major studio?
Right.
the money
Right, the
behind
money
it?
behind it,
Right.
right? What's the team behind it? Do they have PR? Do they have massive promotion? Because when I do my list, which is one of the most iconic lists that we do, is that 38 essential restaurants, which Rex is on that list. A lot of great restaurants are on there, and we put restaurants on there that we believe represent a variety of different food types and different structures.
So have you been to Farino's?
No.
Oh, your favorite.
My favorite. So it's a BYOB.
Okay.
It's on Indian Queen Lane. I'm giving you some free price.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a BYOB. It's Italian. It's like a little house
Okay.
that sits on the corner. I've taken her. It's lovely. The food is lovely. The help is lovely. The waiters are lovely. The
long
chef
you been
is
around?
lovely. Years. Like
Okay.
years. I want to say 30. I don't
Oh, wow.
25,
Okay.
something like that. It's been around for a while. I've been going there for years.
Wow.
It's on Indian Queen Lane, and I would love to take you there
We'll go. Let's go.
because I always take 2 bottles of different reds. Oh my God.
I love a BYOB. Like,
And it's fabulous, and the food is just so good, and the people, and it's a living room, and it's set up like a dining room, but it's a living room, and
So it's got an
and
intimate type of vibe.
oh my God, you end up talking to everybody in the
nice.
restaurant.
Oh, wow. But to that point, right? It's like restaurants like that, fun spots, places that are unique. That's what really makes the Philly food scene. I was born in Chicago. I grew up in Houston, Texas, so I know different types of restaurants.
So have you been to Lucille's?
Yes.
That's my friend,
That's really
Chris. Yeah,
Everyone's
okay.
Chris is a really good friend of
That's a
mine.
classic.
Yeah.
That's a classic, and that, but I'm saying but like with Philly, I think we have seen since the pandemic there be this huge commercialization of trends, and that's killer.
I got issues on.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
well,
No,
well,
come on, Jill.
because
Come
what
on,
I
Jill.
thought. So I
So
thought.
wait. Let me. introduce Jill.
Oh, okay.
Jill is the owner of Rex at Royal,
Yes.
where we are sitting, where we had a delicious lunch by
Made
Chef
by
Angie
Angie.
Brown.
Made by Chef Angela Brown.
And so now
And you
I
can
want
see
Jill.
I did a great
I want Jill to give us her thoughts.
So, all right. So first of all, so I'm Jill Weber, and I own Rex at the Royal, Jet Wine Bar,
and Jet Wine
Sori
Bar.
Nez,
Yes.
Cafe Nez, and I'm also an archaeologist. And I think that's important for this discussion. So
Yes.
I'm an archaeologist, and I worked in Syria for 15 years, and now I've worked in Oman and Armenia and Turkey, and now I work in Iraq and Italy. So I think that's an important
It's
issue.
very important.
What I had initially been thinking is that you get this period where you have this pandemic, and you have to do a recalibration of everything.
Yeah.
Money,
Everything.
food, customers, whatever, and
Schools.
everything, literally everything. And so I was thinking that it would really truly benefit, and of course it did, corporate, because they had the money, they got they did everything, and then it would totally benefit really teeny tiny mom and pop ethnic, and if you want to use ethnic in that way,
Right.
like people who could, owner operator doing something like Ethiopian, owner operator doing, and Caribbean, Jamaican. And I thought that was going to be what we really saw, and we would have this real strong reinvigoration of these like 12-seat takeout. Because why? Because nobody's getting money right now. Nobody's getting money. Nobody's getting customers. But if you put all that, it's the time and the effort, the blood and the sweat and the tears. If you're doing it yourself, you're not paying much. And those are the people who I thought were really gonna come out on top. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It went almost totally corporate, and like whoever was able to get the most money, get back into the city, get like special kind of
Like grants
services,
and stuff?
Get
You
grants,
had to do
but
different stuff. Like I
city
I
likes
did.
certain people.
Oh, by the way, this is Tanisha, who just took over Relish in West Oak Lane.
Yeah.
She has now opened a restaurant called Jacob's, and we will be getting into day life. But
Yes.
but finish your thought.
Yes.
Yeah. So with COVID, it just taught us it was like sink or swim.
Yeah.
And I did a whole thing where I offered people the option of paying forward because I knew I couldn't make it off of that one meal.
Yeah.
So I'm like, listen, you can buy your meal, but pay for somebody else's a meal for somebody else, and we'll deliver it to them.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is, they would do that. And so I thought, like, women by and large had the wherewithal to get us through the pandemic.
Yes.
It was women. Because who shut down? Tell me who shut down. All those corporate places that I thought would be. They all shut down. Who kept us going? Who delivered to hospitals? Who did all that?
Yep.
Women owned. I had a group of women who were doing deliveries to all the Penn hospitals. All women. All women.
Wow.
I asked a lot of those corporate places. I'm not even going to say their names. Can you do? No. No. Why? Oh, we can afford that. Are you kidding me? And then they get like $18 million.
They did. Their PPE.
Exactly.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So here we are. Who's getting us through this? It's all these little teeny tiny woman-owned. I was driving my car, stuff in the back, crates of stuff to take to hospitals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we got through.
That's-
all these other people are like, oh, we'll just wait for our money.
And the collaborations
yeah,
that we did was great
Yep.
too. Like that was such a great
I
idea.
know, we had so much fun.
We had
Tanisha.
so much fun. We collaborated like the restaurants downtown, and I'm the only little one uptown, but I mean the way that we all just came together and just put these ideas togetger to make money off.
Well, where was I?
What was you doing during the pandemic?
She's on the beach.
What was you doing?
Drinking champ.
Oh, okay.
I ain't gonna lie. I was home.
All right.
I was home going,
I was
what did Beyonce say? I've been drinking.
right. I was planning a wedding, writing.
I wanted to have been with you.
I was doing a lot. I was planning a wedding, writing, covering all this.
Yep.
The chaos
was
of the
trying
pandemic.
to-
I was making
Yeah.
it happen.
We're all trying.
But it was a lot going on.
a lot.
I want to, I was when you said about women, I was saying like my personal caterer is details by Miss Dawn. Her name is Miss Dawn, and she does a lot of catering. She does catering for American Airlines during their Thanksgiving, and she does a lot of things, and she's just incredible.
Thank you.
And she was just, making meals. She was a professional caterer that does big events, but she had so many people that she made meals from during the pandemic and was doing delivery.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
I remember doing Easter at home, but the food was so good.
Yep. And who's
because-
driving it?
and
She's
she was
driving it to you.
doing
Miss
everything.
Dawn is driving
Her
it to you.
team, and they were all women or was servers and everyone.
But they still kept things going.
Yeah.
And she didn't mind. I had a wedding shower during the pandemic. She catered that. But it was a time. It was
Yeah.
a time. And so when you mentioned women owners specifically, I don't think there was any men I was really getting
Buy from during that time.
Yeah. And you know, and it's one more thing, and then I'll stop because I do talk a lot. I'm sorry. Sorry.
No, it's a podcast, Jill.
But so, you know, and here I am an archaeologist, but that means I'm an anthropology
Yes.
PhD. So
So
I guess
tell us a little about that, because that is so interesting. And I'm loving that I'm coming to Italy to see you. And
yeah.
Whenever.
Well, so this gives me this foundation of human interaction, right? So
Right.
this is when I talk about, why do I talk about women being like better able to survive a pandemic? Because they're better able to do the informal economy.
Yes.
Right? Like women can do things without like a formal contract. And it's like, you know what? We're just going to get by.
We're just gonna
I'm
do
try-
it,
I'm going
right.
to shake your hand.
Yeah.
I'll watch your baby, you watch mine.
Right.
We'll barter some food and we'll do it.
we'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen. So that's the kind of thing that anthropology kind of, you know, you learn about informal, formal, how people interact. And that what's food? What's hospitality? It's how people interact. And so never in a million years would I've thought that an anthropology PhD would make me like a restaurateur. And but in a sense it's like
And how
I
did
understand
that
people.
how did that happen? Like, how did
Yeah.
you like decide to do what you do, what you went to school for, and then all of a sudden you own 4 restaurants?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
That happened because so going to all these countries, like I was made apparently born to go work in the Middle East. That is
There
just
you
me.
go. I told you
That-
you were that. And you were
everything.
that nationality
Sounds,
in
the
another
smells,
life.
the colors,
Right.
the chaos.
Yeah.
I love
She
it.
was
I
that
love
in
it. I love it. I
another
love it. We were totally. Well, hey, we were too poor to travel, and I always wanted to leave the country. Just that's all I wanted to do. We couldn't do it. We would go on vacation from Indiana to Ohio over the state line. You know, all right. But I wanted to go, and you know, like so when I got
When's
the
your
chance,
birthday?
July 8th. I'm a Cancer.
Oy
My
vey.
best friend's
Oy
birthday
vey.
July
Wait,
4th.
does that make me a traveler? What? I don't know.
No, my best friend's birthday is July 4th.
And it makes you somebody who's intelligent and wants to learn.
Wants to learn, wants to go. So first time I left the country, I was 20. I was at college at Northwestern. My professor was going to Turkey.
What'd I say?
To
Smart.
dig. And I said, can I go with you? He said, okay. What? Okay. And yes, they pay. So, you know, like if you ever want to travel but can't afford it, oh my God, become an archaeologist. Become a, you know,
Right. Get into that
right,
department.
do some kind of
Right.
thing
Wow.
where they pay you to travel.
Right.
Okay,
Wow.
so went there, loved Turkey. Just like when I landed and I was in Istanbul, I like, this is me. This is me. That's it. Nothing else before this was me. This is me. So did that. Go to Turkey, go to Syria, go to all these places. My favorite thing in life for about 12 years was to sit in a little square in Aleppo, eat raw carrots, raw celery, and drink Lebanese wine. Honest to God, watching these little kids play soccer and in a little square.
Yeah,
This was my
just
life.
sitting
This was
back
it.
dreaming.
That's what I wanted.
Just looking
Yes.
back and dreaming at
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
And then I
can
came
see
here
it.
and I said, okay, I'm going to open a wine bar. Kept telling it. My husband was like, yeah, sure, yeah, sure, yeah,
Bring
sure.
back all those crazy ass wines you bring back.
My best friend in the whole world died. Had a log roll over on her, and my husband's like, "Are you going to open this?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." So we opened the wine bar, and that was it.
What was the name
Jet.
of that? Oh, so you
That
opened
was Jet.
Jet.
Jet was the first one.
And Jet is across the street from where we
Yeah.
are now. We are at 1524 South Street.
Yes.
And then Jet, and now that's why
Rex
that's
at
why
Royal, which
the-
is a fabulous restaurant.
No, I love this restaurant.
This restaurant really, I mean, Jill,
Thank you.
you outdid yourself
Thank you.
because like this
It's
is
not that many grand
no, and this is
Thank you,
stop saying Cajun.
Yeah.
Ain't no Cajuns up in here. It's Creoles.
It's
We are Creoles up in here, honey. Ain't no Cajuns. Mhm.
But there you go. And then the ancient world wine, because of course I'm an archaeologist. Ancient world, the wines. I love all wine, but man, come on. I mean, all these wines are great. So let's get away from these
Yeah.
things that are only famous because like these monarchs and
And the thing is, and
Christianity and blah,
this
blah,
is the
blah.
thing though. If you don't try something, you don't know whether you like it or don't like it.
I agree.
So you have
so
to.
right.
I mean, so the whole purpose of even going to different restaurants and people say, "Oh, I don't like that kind of." I don't know. Have you ever had it?
Yeah, no.
Or like
Have you ever had it?
when people read reviews about restaurants and they say, "Oh, I've heard the reviews," and it's like it's not reviews; it's one review.
Exactly.
It's one review.
Exactly.
It's not a bunch of reviews.
So let's talk a little about Tanisha and Tanisha's new restaurant and Jacob's, and I want to talk about black food.
Yes.
Are we done? Have we had enough? I mean, I'm not sure.
I don't think
If I have another shrimp and grits, if I have another chicken and waffle, I think I'm gonna scream.
But is it coming from a black-owned restaurant, or is it just coming from somewhere that's just reinventing it?
Right. Well,
Because that's the thing. There's a lot
don't
of
know.
restaurants that I feel like
Are doing their own renditions, and so you feel like you've had it from certain places.
100 and
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that's hijacking.
right.
Yeah.
How do you make it different?
yeah.
I try to do different stuff, but it always go back to the same thing. Black people want shrimp and grits. All people
black people want sweet stuff.
Shrimp and grits,
I hate saying
want-
The savory.
fish and grits.
Okay.
We make
fish and grits. You mean shrimp and grits?
no fish and grits.
Fish and grits.
Oh yeah,
Fish and
Fried
grits.
fish.
Fried fish and grits.
this is where the Amy comes in.
Right.
Really, Miss Silverstein.
No, Brownstein.
Listen.
That's my.
Chef Angie has lived many lives.
I have lived many lives.
Listen.
But
To that point, though, I mean, there is, but you know, I think
It's
I think
comfort food.
It is comfort food.
Is what it is.
It's
Could
comfort
you pass
food.
me that last sardine over there? I'm gonna kill
Oh
it.
yes, that roasted sardine.
Those are.
Don't
Oh,
they
there's
look
two more.
good?
There's two more.
There's two more.
Yeah.
yes, over here.
Please eat this food
It's so good.
Look.
and the fish.
Come
Yeah,
on.
you
I
killed
did
the
it.
Jill. You killed the Jill.
And at this point.
That fish over there is done.
There's some more left.
I'm filling it off the champs. I think this is my last one.
Right. No, but what I will say is that I think to your point about
What? Oh, you're
what
feeling-
diners want, it depends on the area. It depends on what they expect. You know, there are different black-owned restaurants around Philadelphia. There's some that have tried to do something different. I think about Maison 208.
Oh yeah.
Oh, with
Silva.
Silva, yeah.
With Silva.
And that, like, it didn't last.
It
Oh, I
didn't
went.
last
And it was-
because it didn't. I'll tell you why it
Okay,
didn't
why
last.
It lasts.
Because I was rooting for it.
I was too.
I
was
loved
rooting
it.
for it.
And I used to go visit my friend.
Yes.
I tell you why it didn't last because I feel like he wasn't connected to our community
Yes. Or the restaurant.
or the restaurant.
He wasn't connected to the restaurant.
Yeah, there was no. I'm like,
Gotta be.
let me put my foot in it.
Yeah.
There was no. My foot's in this food.
I always felt like it's been replaced by a bar that's really popular called Cockatoo.
Oh, really?
And it's in the neighborhood. It's a neighborhood bar now named Cockatoo that's really popping over there.
Okay.
And I think the reason why is that if you look at that area, like it's right between Woody's, Bud and Mariners is across the street. You know that, turning.
Okay.
They got that whole thing on lock.
Yeah, and
They got the game on lock.
listen, but they've always had it on lock.
That's true.
And look, I ain't gonna say how old I am, but
Yeah,
I've been going to Woody's
Yeah.
for
Keep a restaurant.
40 years.
Okay.
Okay, so I will say to you,
Hell yeah.
still, he did not have his foot in his food.
Yeah.
Okay.
You put your foot in your food.
Totally right.
I don't care where you locate it.
real. You're right.
Somebody's gonna come out and say, "The food is delicious. You
That's
gotta
real.
check it
You're
out."
right. That's
He
real.
had a spot where the atmosphere could have been anything he wanted
That's
it to be.
true. They would have
Anything. I spent time in there, you know,
Yeah.
talking to him, and and it was empty.
And he's
We
a
had
great guy.
We had a Ladam event there.
I love Silva. He's so. I love him.
I don't know, and so that's the thing. Like, to your point, like, I don't know. Maybe because you're saying in that situation, he had an opportunity, he put his foot in it.
He did.
Gotcha.
Because I was thinking like other restaurants that are trying to do something different, right?
Okay.
And how hard it is for black-owned restaurants to pivot or do different things. I mean, one success story that I think about all the time is Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. See, I have not been there yet. So
It is.
That's because you can't get
is
in.
it a small spot?
Yeah.
No.
It's not. Somebody
It's right
told
near
me
my
it's
house. Right near my house.
It's 2 stories.
21st Street.
It's come visit me. Yeah.
It's
come
intimate.
visit
It's
me.
2 stories. The first floor is a bar that is intimate, and upstairs is a little intimate. The reservation, I mean, it won the James Biddle Award for most outstanding restaurant last year.
Yeah, but what exactly do I have
It's
no idea
it's
what
New
they're
American, but he gives his own twist. Chad Williams went to Howard University.
I met Chad. Chad
Nice guy.
and I were just we just did a
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
we just judged some of the Drexel CCAP students.
Oh, wonderful.
So we had
Yep.
to do that, and that's when I met Chad a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he's great.
And,
I'm a big fan of him. I think his restaurant,
I mean, his restaurant is
But I don't know
different.
anything about his food.
Tasting menu.
Yeah.
The tasting menu. It is one of the best tasting menus in the city. It's my
And
favorite
so
restaurant
tell me
in
what it
Philadelphia.
is. Tell me what
It's
the
a
food
mix
is.
of New American. It's there's other different types of origins of influence. You got some, he has the
I
Sassy
invented that
Playroom.
New American shit 20 years
That's
ago.
what we call it.
It
Okay,
makes sense.
that's what we call it.
Well, that's
Because
what
it's the
I
only,
thought.
it's the all in be all of anything that's
Southern
not
New
you don't know.
American.
There you go. And it's just great food. But the tasting menu is incredible. It's my favorite restaurant in Philadelphia by far.
It is?
It is.
Get the hell out
Gotta
of
go.
here.
I gotta go there.
All right.
Gotta go.
Your favorite?
It's my favorite restaurant.
All right,
in
y'all. It's
Philly.
right near my house. Let's go.
My
If you-
favorite. It's my number
Have you
one.
been
It's
there
my
yet,
number
Jill?
one.
Can you? No, yeah, I was there a long time ago. I can't get reservations. Can you get us reservations? We'll all go.
I'll make a call.
All right. All right. We're going because I'm like because
I mean,
I
it's one of the places where the walk-in.
So what's your favorite dish?
My favorite dish? What's the tasting menu? So it's always
So it's
evolving.
always.
So what's the taste?
Yes, that's what I like about
What I
it.
like about I just love.
Have you been there?
No, but we like when I was in
Anything-
school, we had to do research, and that was the person I did the research.
And that's
on.
smart.
How long has he been there?
Well, so this so let me back up. Fried Sesame
In school?
as an
What
institution
school?
has been around for decades. Decades. It's been about over 40. The restaurant has been around for over
No,
40
I
something
know the
years.
restaurant has.
But he took over it about 10 years ago.
Oh, I
And
didn't know
he
he'd been there
gave-
that long. I
Yes,
didn't
so
know
he
that.
gave it his
I don't really
own-
know anything about Trav.
Yeah, he's given his own,
Flair.
spin and flair, and it just has elevated what the Philly food scene can be when it comes to that type of food. And the tasting menu is great. It has my favorite cocktail. there.
Okay, so what is
The
the
Assassin
tasting
Handbook.
menu?
The tasting menu contains various things. Different meats. You get a meat. You get a seafood. You get different other small plates. But it changes all the time.
So it's always the same thing but different.
Variations.
There-
But you're always going to get
variations.
some seafood. You're always going to get a meat.
Right, that's
You can
what I
always
mean,
get
yeah.
something.
So I
and
used to go to Will BYOB. all
yes.
the time
And now he owns.
for Cynthia.
That's right. Classic.
yeah.
French
So
classic.
that's what
I'm gonna
I
try to-
really
I'm gonna
like. I
go
like
to the red after this.
change of the menu, but I can't do that where I am.
No, and the
'Cause I'm
thing
in
is,
the
but
neighborhood.
you don't have to feel. But what I want to be clear about is that when I did Dining While Black, and I interviewed.
Dining While
That
Black.
was the
What
piece of-
is
I
that?
So this is a long form piece that I did in 2018 that really talked about my experiences as a black diner in the food scene. This is before I was writing about food now, but I talked about my restaurant experiences going to certain restaurants in Center City that was mainstream, and really talking about the difficulties that black restaurant owners struggled with in getting coverage. And it wasn't so much about the food they were doing or cooking, but just about the industry overall. The fact that most of these restaurants that were getting covered, most of the editors at the time were all white. Most of the people getting invited to the
Usually
room
male.
were male. Most of the people who restaurants that were spotlighted, the PR who represented them were all white. And so by default, there was an institutional barrier that did not allow us to spotlight, highlight, or celebrate black restaurants in the city the way that we have done
Listen.
in other restaurants.
And listen, let me tell you something. The very first restaurant I had was at 21st and Arch. And it was,
Flavor Snarch, really?
yes, that was in 1989.
Oh,
My first restaurant, it was Voodoo Cafe.
okay.
And you should see my t-shirts. They're fabulous. But anyway.
Let me get one.
That's reprised. Yes, please. I'll wear it.
And
I'm
it
wearing
had
it.
voodoo and a voodoo doll
Can
on
we
the
wear
front.
it?
And it
Can
says
you-
voodoo
yeah.
in the back.
So
Fabulous.
We need
But
this.
anyway,
We
that
need
was my
this.
first
We need
restaurant.
this.
Yeah.
My second restaurant, it was in 1995 because my son had his first birthday there. So it was 1995. And then after that, after I had that was in Mount Airy. And then after that, I opened Angie Brown's, which was Goat Hollow. We got on a TV show. We got on the chopping block with Marco Pierre White.
Wow.
And so when we came off of that show, I opened Soul in Chestnut Hill. That was my swan song, I thought, until I realized I had a nutty landlord. Crazy. So after I had just, cleaned out my bank account, sold my Eternity diamond ring to open this last restaurant that I thought would be my last restaurant, make it happen, 30 seats, BYOB. I didn't really have to think about it. My food, I was always putting my foot in my food. So food was never a problem for me. It was just, I always found myself by myself. Like I didn't have that manager.
Yeah.
But our landlady made it so hard for us to exist because I think when I signed the lease, I didn't meet her for a whole month. And I think she thought I was white until she found out. And when she found out, it was nonstop.
Really?
Nonstop. I had a 1,000 square foot restaurant, and I paid $3,500 a month
In 2007.
in 2009. Okay? And I had no
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
paying it.
Yeah.
But she was just making it crazy. I would get receipts that my exhaust fan had been cleaned, and I had no idea. And I'd get a bill for it. And I didn't ask to clean it.
No.
So it was started with things like, I said all of that to say, Ernest, when you were saying that they weren't letting people in. I had 4 restaurants. I was the only black girl doing that at that time. Doesn't matter what you think I am. I'm African American. Don't get it twisted. I never did. You know, so I truly am a person that knows that. You know, that doors weren't opening for me. They were shutting for me because I went to culinary school when there were only like males. Like I never had a female sous chef. I never had a female beside me on the line. Wow. It was always guys and always being treated a certain way. One guy lifted me up one day, sat me on the thing and said, "Don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything. Just sit there and look pretty."
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, what'd you do?
I jumped off and started making the sauce and said, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
What else could I say? When I was coming up, there were no representations. There were nobody that I could go to, except for Jessica Harris is my mentor.
Oh.
She is my mentor. She is the one who said, "You can do this. I'm sending you here. You know, you're good. You're a star. Just be you." She always told me that. Be the star that you are and be you. She told me that out of the country, you know, in another place where I was dealing with nothing but guys and I was the only female chef in a competition. So I understand that. And whoever is listening, who are female chefs who are listening to this, you just have to remember to not second guess yourself. If you think those pot of greens taste good, they taste good.
That's real.
Don't second guess anything that somebody else could come up behind you and say that's not good. Don't believe them. But, you know, that's some real stuff, you know. But to what you were saying about not being in rooms, I'm the girl who was not put in rooms. You know, and it's just that now in my career that I've done so many things that I'm at this podcast section of my life where I can say, this is where I need to be so I can tell people how to be.
That's right.
So can I ask you a question? So I'm younger than you, but not by a whole lot. But I get bitter because I also come from a time when women just didn't get invited. You had to do it yourself. And you had to do it yourself. And you were always called the bitch in the room.
Oh, yeah.
This, that, the other. But whatever
I
you
can't
did
even imagine
doesn't
some
even
of the
matter.
things I've been called.
Doesn't even
love
matter.
it. I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. I love
but
it.
it doesn't even matter. You just did it. You just did
Right.
it, and you dealt, and
Right.
you put people in their place if you could. You know,
Right.
you acted, and you knew you were right, and you just whatever existed. And now it's so much. It's not easy, but it's like there's this
Well,
system, and you put people in.
Listen,
and
it's not even that it's easy. It's that you have come into your own, and you're not taking the bullshit anymore. You realize who you are, your talent, and what your talents
But
are.
I mean these younger people. So I get upset with like we never got anything. Nobody gave us anything. You had to do it yourself, right? You had to do it yourself. And so I get a little upset that right now a lot of people who get media, who get attention, are those who are here right now, who are like, "Oh, it's so wonderful that you're a young woman," and I want women to succeed,
and don't have the hours, the time, or the
which is great,
talent.
right? Which is that's not the great part, but the great part is that women, of course, can succeed now by just being successful, being good. And I get a little upset that media responds negatively. This is an ageism thing. Responds negatively to people like us. And we're both of different generations, but respond negatively to people like us who had to do it harder, who had to put more in, who had to disagree more, and whatever. But we just did it.
Well, I would say that
We just did it.
also-
But we don't. But you don't get any media for that. You only get media for now.
Well, listen, there's blockers. What are they called?
Always
Gatekeepers?
Yes,
yeah.
They're gatekeepers, and they're real.
Yeah.
And they're real in your own circle, girl.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I would also
we know
add,
that.
But I would also add too that I think that it's a trend just in journalism in general, not just as someone who is covering and doing it, is that there has always been this trend of what's the newest, the hottest thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's
And
the
there-
next best
Right,
thing?
Exactly, and but there is a skew, a gender bias, oftentimes that's skewed towards they'll give a pass to men versus women
hell
when it comes
yeah.
to that. And so I do recognize those barriers, and even in the work that I do, I'm always seeing it out. One of the things that I've done for a while in my own coverage, in my own just spotlighting of restaurants, is I do my own little Instagram series on my page called Spin the Block, which is a trend that we millennials and Gen Zers say for different reasons, but I use it referentially appropriately for restaurants. I go back to restaurants that I am impressed when a restaurant has what I feel surpassed that 5-year mark.
Yeah.
When you have a restaurant that's been around, because there's something there.
Yeah.
And there's something special about it. And it's like, I like to come back and check out restaurants. So one of the things that I've done on my Instagram page, and people always notice I do it, and these new restaurants get jealous, is that I do this thing called I Spin the Block, where I will every week or every so week, I will go to a restaurant that isn't in the news.
That's awesome.
But it's been around for a minute.
Yeah.
Like last week I went to Double Knot. The week before that I went somewhere else. But I will go to restaurants that has just been around. I'm like, they're still open?
Yeah.
Why? Let me go and see what's up. Where haven't I been?
Right.
And I will go back
Right.
and I will find out, I will fall in love with them again.
Yeah.
And I will remind my followers and people.
And
this
remind
place is
yourself
great.
why I liked it
Why
so
I liked
much.
it so
Yeah.
much. And
Right.
so there are places like that, and there are people who, restaurant owners will come back and tell me, listen, and even what I love about Eater is that when we do our list of our bests, we only do one list that is dedicated to new restaurants. Everything else is just
So-
a mix of various restaurants from the current
So
to
have you
past.
ever been
Which
to
are
La
great.
Colombiana?
Of course.
Of course. So I will always go back to La Colombiana.
Always.
The Cuban fried chicken, the black beans.
Yes.
Oh, come on now. And the salsa, the just little.
But that's why I think.
Spicy
But that's why I
That's
think
nice.
people. But I
That's
think
nice.
that's why people love.
But I really go back for the drinks.
That too.
The drink. Oh
But
my
that's why,
God,
but that's why
drinks.
people loved our list though, because when you go on our list, we are always mixing it up.
Yeah.
It's never just the newest thing, because to be quite honest, I don't really, I'm gonna say this, and this is gonna be very interesting, but
Okay.
I do think that a lot of new restaurants, I'm not never so pressed about new restaurants.
Oh yeah, never.
Like you
gotta give them at least 3 months, 4 months.
There you go. You're right about that. Like,
You
I like to,
do,
if
you
I get
do.
exclusive to announce their release. Okay, it's open. They're here. Boom.
let them
Okay.
rest.
Right,
Let
a
them
lot of
rest.
people-
All right.
A lot of people want me to come and put them on lists. I'm like, you're not going on any of these lists
Yeah.
this early.
Prove
Yeah.
yourself.
Because you have to prove yourself. There
Yeah,
has to
give
be
'em 6
there has-
months.
Right, 6 months at the least. Like, you have to prove yourself. There's a couple restaurants that will do something dynamic. And
I've
you
had
can
critics
consider.
come in a month.
But
No.
come on. No.
In a month.
No,
Oh, I know
no,
they do
no.
that. Listen, I
Listen,
don't.
if every
Oh.
single restaurant I ever had, because this is back in the day, was Zagat rated. I got
Oh,
Zagat
right.
rated best this, best that, best this, best that.
Yeah.
Zagat rated. And then I go on I go on the competition show with Marco. Who's one of the guests? Mr. and Mrs. Zagat.
Really?
I get to meet them.
I wrote about them.
Yeah. And they loved my food. So, I don't know. I don't really know how this food culture or where it's going, because I just feel like we're so saturated with shrimp and grits, fried chicken and waffles. What's next? Where are we taking black food? Because I can't keep doing that. I don't even want to hear it.
Right, but you know what it is? What it is?
Give me something different.
It is something different. I think the reality is that there are black chefs that are doing things different.
What?
I think the fight is. I think about Kurt, Chef Kurt Evans. I think he's trying to do some different things.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other people. I
So
think the problem
is he
about
one
the
of these
investment.
civic chef leaders
I don't know.
that we need to talk about?
What do you think?
I'm thinking, what's the civic and what's the leadership?
I think the reality is that what we're seeing two different things combined. I also think that there is this segregation and this tokenism.
Oh,
that
listen,
we're seeing.
I love Kurt. Kurt's been in my
I'm not
house
talking about
for dinner.
I think Kurt is great. I'm talking just in general about the tokenization of black chefs in the food scene and black and brown chefs in general in this food scene. That they're good enough to do pop-ups. They're good enough to do these little guest appearances and residences, but when it comes down to investment in them owning their own restaurant and doing their own thing, we're not seeing that same energy and the investment of them doing their thing.
Can I?
You're absolutely right.
I know you want to answer that. Can I answer it real
Sure.
quickly? So, and I, as owner of a restaurant that wants someone whose cuisine this is, right?
You killed it.
I find so many black chefs have so much opportunity in the pop-up sphere.
Yeah.
And I think it must be more lucrative. Because a lot of times people will say,
It is.
I've got pop-ups. I mean, there's so many people I've tried to hire, like, I got pop-ups.
Because some people argue that open a restaurant is hell.
Yeah, well, but I've got a restaurant, right? Like, I'm like,
you-
like, do you want to work here? And
I
like,
just did a takeover.
oh my God,
what,
Angie
2
Brown's
weeks ago.
takeover was yes, you
It was
were,
incredible.
and so was Tanisha. It was amazing.
But you've
It was
opened about
amazing.
4 Johns already.
Oh, you
Yeah,
know
I
what you're
have.
doing.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
You know what you're doing.
So
You're
for you to
like,
come in. It's nothing to take over a restaurant because
Yeah.
you took over 4.
Well, I have to, but I have to say that if it hadn't been for the organization of Jill's Kitchen,
right.
I mean, like her staff just rallied. They rallied around me.
I'm so happy.
And I was yelling and screaming, and they were cracking up
She was
and laughing.
smacking the bar. They're
I
like,
know.
service, come on, where's the
kitchen
food?
would be
Where's
like,
the food?
I quit.
But they loved it. Why they loved it is because, like we're all equal. Once you get behind that line, we're equal, and we're running a machine, and that machine has got to be well oiled and well organized. And her kitchen is so organized and so well oiled that the minute one of the chefs saw me struggling with a dish, he came right over and fixed it. Wow. You know what I mean? It was like,
so
and that's
good.
But you gotta have
our husband.
Yeah, but you got to
Pedro.
have. But
Pedro.
But
Pedro.
those teams,
Pedro.
a lot of
Pedro.
I'm seeing that there are some black chefs out there that are hungry to do something different. But when it comes to
So-
making their own, they're
so-
either going as executive chefs at restaurants that are white owned.
Well, okay. And so here is where
And this is where I, as a white woman, maybe I'm not having the best.
okay.
And maybe that's what it is. And I think
But-
there's a lot of factors. But I think one of the things is that, and I know you want to speak about this. I think you should. Is that access to equity and access to doing on, because there are people who are just pop-up people. No shade, but there's some people that should only do pop-ups. and pop-ups
that's what they
only.
wanna do.
But when I think about like Omar Tate at Honeysuck Provisions, it's like this is the guy who did pop-ups.
Omar
and
should have
different
been
things.
here today.
Yes.
He's incredible, right?
Yeah.
He's
And
somebody
Sybil.
who people really was questioning, him and Sybil's ability to make that happen, because he was very persistent and patient with his process. He had a dream about how he wanted to make that happen. And there were people that, like, I think about an album that you've been waiting to listen to that's just been on delay.
Yeah.
Right. Like the way people think of Detox with Dr. Dre's album, that never happened. But like, it was just like, when you think about those delays, he just knew what he wanted to do. And I remember there was a period of time where it was highly anticipated. Then I heard some white folks in the food media scene being like, if it comes out, they kind of slept on him. And then he released it, and it blew everybody's mind.
Yep.
And it was one of Eater's best new restaurants in America.
What?
Honeysuckle.
So
West
listen.
Philly.
I
live in West Philly.
left your shop.
Yeah.
Drove down to Honeysuckle at 48th
Yeah.
and
Yeah. That was 40
Walnut, Spruce.
Yellow
Drove
Brown
all the way down there from here after I just made jambalaya all day, right? Drove down to ask him to be on this podcast this day with you, and he wasn't there. Him and Sybil. And I had just been with Sybil like 3 weeks prior at Drexel
Yeah,
with
at
from
Williams.
Chad,
Yeah.
right? And he wasn't there, so I sent him a message because I didn't have his phone number. I sent him a message like I sent you a message. And I don't even know whether he got back to me. I never looked because I had to keep moving. I don't actually know what he does.
This restaurant, I mean, it's more of a
I
cafe.
don't know what.
You mean like which of those? They're both
I
chefs,
thought
right?
he
They're
was
both-
like, no,
So
I
he
thought
did
he was.
pop-up cuisine, right?
Yeah.
But this is a cafe.
I
It's
went
an
to, I
all-day
saw the cafe. I saw the cafe.
And now he's doing some sit-in restaurant, like entree dinner situations Iron Out that's on weekends, and it's Afrocentric fused. It's very mix of his Haitian culture, him and his wife's Haitian culture.
Is he Haitian or just a white?
I think they both are. But
Okay.
I know the wife definitely
Sybil.
is.
I know
Sybil. Yeah, I know
Sybil
Sybil.
definitely is. And he
Yeah.
might be too, but
It is definitely a cultural experience, cuisine-wise, food-wise. The food is very accessible. The community loves it. It's a neighborhood delight.
Yeah.
But it's also a citywide treasure and now a national gem.
Yeah.
But to that point that you were saying earlier, I definitely want to hear your perspective about that access and equity, because that's what I'm hearing from restaurant owners. I think they're having identity. I just think in a nutshell, they're having.
Because they have truly given James Beard Awards to people that, to me,
Just opened.
just open.
Yes, but I think
Thank you.
I think a lot of it is an identity crisis right now. I think that they have been so out of touch for so many decades that they're trying to make up for lost time.
Well, they're making up wrong.
I,
It's wrong.
You're not wrong.
It's
You're
just
not
too
wrong.
many things. You
not
know what I
wrong.
mean? It's like my head is spinning
Yeah.
from the people that they're saying is fabulous. What? Why do I care?
No, not why do you care, but just go ahead.
Don't ask me why I care.
Well, we're-
So with the
Later.
black food, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to kind of totally change my whole menu to all soul food because you have the community, and when you have a restaurant in the community,
yeah, you're in Northwest, right?
I'm in the Northwest community. I'm in West Plain. I was also on Germantown Avenue in Mount Airy, but it was more diverse. I could do a little.
Yeah, you had a mixed crowd. You had a mixed crowd.
But now I have like an all black crowd. So it's a lot of things
Angry.
that I have to do.
They be angry.
They be angry.
Angry. Where's my food?
So they want.
And I'm like,
I had
told
to
you.
do like the turkey wings. I had to do the fried chicken. And you know what? Like when my grandmother always told me, like, whatever you're going to do, you got to just
Do it right.
do it right. And do it.
Do it right.
Do it.
Make
So what
everybody
I
happy.
did start doing was, because we still offer catering, once a month we do a tasting
Wonderful.
of different things that we can do, like the gumbo ramen soup.
Oh yes.
So this
Right, you're adjusting, you're adapting while still holding true to your
Pass me the
culinary,
red.
interest, which is important, right?
Thank you.
And so I think that that's real because
Yeah.
I think for a lot of restaurants that are trying to figure out where they want to, vary at, they are mixing it up and adjusting. But this is your first restaurant. It will not be your last.
No, this is not our first
No,
restaurant.
but also Tanisha.
Well, no, it's not your first, but I'm saying it won't be your last.
It's a, well, I would say
Right.
this is your big restaurant.
Yeah.
This is my big
This
your
is-
big debut.
This
your
is your,
breakthrough.
Yeah.
this
This
is,
is definitely my break.
this
I would say
is
it's your
your
breakthrough.
breakthrough. Yeah,
It
I
is
agree.
definitely my
Totally her
But
breakthrough.
are you able to do like for a long time? You're able to do like the cauliflower,
Oh, yeah.
the fried cauliflower
so I do
cheesesteak.
cauliflower cheesesteaks. People still come for the
Okay.
cauliflower.
Well,
All right.
and you have
All
your
right.
truck. Let's not talk about your truck. You have
truck is
Brotherly
fire.
Grub.
Yeah.
The brisket cheesesteak has always been something in my mind.
Listen,
brisket.
people come from all over
The
for
brisket,
the
is
brisket
Well, hell yeah.
cheesesteaks.
iconic. But
Yeah.
to your point about James Beard I know earlier before we were taping, we were talking about influencers. I say this and I blame the restaurants.
Why do
Partially.
you bring the
I blame the
restaurants?
restaurants because a lot of restaurants, I actually had a situation with a restaurant not too long ago, a situation like this. Everyone is trying to do cheat codes.
To do what?
Cheat codes. Cheat codes meaning they want to find another way to avoid some level of a real accountability or coverage about their food.
Okay.
Nobody wants to get any level of critique from experts or professionals anymore.
Who are we talking about?
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about restaurants in general.
No. I'm
people
saying,
are
that,
what-
like,
so
who are we
people-
talking about?
So restaurants, a lot of restaurants that's coming out now. A lot of it is.
Are we talking black owned?
No, just all restaurants.
okay,
All
just
restaurants.
restaurants.
Everyone is doing this. What I'm talking about, everyone is doing what I'm talking about.
Okay.
This is not a black thing.
Okay.
What they're doing is that there was a game that was played many years ago during the pandemic, and it worked and it didn't work. Which is that during the pandemic, the influencers that was on social media was definitely considered an agent to supporting restaurants. Like they were posting about them, support these restaurants. They were considered an ally to the restaurant community. Then all of a sudden, these influencers began to start to see their quote unquote value, and they began to expect more, and then they began to really feel as though that they became the alternative.
And that was my next question.
critic.
Press.
Food critics versus influencers.
Right.
So a lot of influencers.
Not all of them, but a lot of them are pay to play. If you are a PR firm and you have the budget, you can definitely wine and dine and wow and impress these influencers, and they will say great things about your restaurants.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of restaurants who do not have that kind of budget are being financially exploited by these influencers
Yeah.
because they're going in their DMs.
Really?
They're going in their
they
DMs.
do.
The restaurants
Oh, really?
It's both ways. Restaurants are going in the DMs of influencers, certain ones with followers, begging them to come. And they will come, they'll produce content. Sometimes the content is worthy, sometimes it's good. But sometimes these people want money. And sometimes these restaurants
Really?
are spending money.
Oh,
giving money out
shit.
their own budget.
It
used to be
pay
Yelp.
them to come.
It used to
And
be Yelp.
then it used
Well,
to
wait.
be-
Well, wait. She has an influencer story.
I only
you-
asked him. That's
No,
it.
she just asked me because
That's
because
it.
we just know
Because
about
he's
these
legit.
I'm legit, but
Yeah, but you
I'm
told
not
me
an
about the
influencer.
girl who wrote
Right,
that
right,
review.
right.
So I'm not an
Right,
influencer.
right.
To be
Right.
clear, I am a journalist.
You're-
I'm a media
yes,
professional.
absolutely.
I go to restaurants. I try food. You know, I tip everybody. I go. I do my
Right.
thing. But these influencers are different. What I'm seeing that's happening with the PR, some of these PR people, and some of these restaurants is that they're treating influencers like press. So
They
they're
are.
thinking, so because they don't want people like me to come, where I'll come and I'll be honest. They don't want my honesty because they want to hear good things. They don't want me to come and try their food a lot of
Yeah.
times because they don't want me to just say it's fabulous, it's great, I love it, or they want me to
Yeah.
automatically
Yeah.
put it on a list of the best.
Yeah.
Versus influencers come and influencers, if they get a free meal, get a check, get
And
some
that's what
money or
they
whatever,
want.
they'll say whatever. And so now the public, who's getting screwed by this? The public.
public.
Because the public doesn't know the difference
Yeah.
nowadays between
They gotta be
the
smarter.
influencers and this, and they gotta
Yeah.
be smarter.
They gotta be
But
smarter.
what I'm telling restaurants is that they're responsible for creating this beast. Because it can, and even the PR people, right? Because I had a situation with a PR firm recently. Oh, I gotta tell this.
Oh, please.
Please
Please tell it.
This major PR firm who represents some big restaurants reached out to me and noticed that I did not include one of their clients on one of my 15 best lists of best entrees. I had a list of best things. And they said, oh, well, we noticed that you did not put us on the list. If there's a way that we can slide in and we can invite you to come. First of all, any list that I put on, in the words of Judge Judy, all rulings are final. Okay, so they final. Whatever I put in is it. We're not changing anything.
Right.
That's the first thing. The second thing is that everything that I write about, I have ate.
Right.
I'm not going to speak on
Right.
something I have not ate.
No
I can
bullshit.
Say, Chef Angie's food is good because I ate a lot of her food.
Right.
Right.
But you can't just walk around saying someone's restaurant or someone's food is good as you not had it. That's how I
That's
feel.
right.
A lot of these
Agreed.
people are
Point
feeding
taken.
people are feeding people pictures and giving them blurbs, and they're describing the food off the press release.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I said to this person, I said, first of all, I have not tried this, and I'm not going to do a thing where I'm going to add it and then try it. That's not how this works. If you want me to come and try it for consideration in the future, I can consider doing that.
Right.
But this is not how this works. And they were just shocked. But I said to myself, you should know better.
Wait, so they
Because you have a
didn't even
budget.
like that. They didn't even like that. You
They
could
were
come
they
in the
were a
future.
little disheartened. But I said, at the end of the day, you have a budget.
Yeah.
And I have seen influencers at this place
Yeah.
eating this thing. You didn't call the press. You didn't call me and say,
Right.
hey, Mr. Owens, would you like to come and try this? We have this. You never did. But see, the reality is they think that influencers are influencing the press.
Right.
So they think that if we see this on social media, that we're going to run to it. I don't chase influencers. Influencers chase me.
Period.
I write the story, and they go where I go. I set the trend. I'm a trendsetter. We don't do that over here. And a lot of people
Am I allowed
think
to clap?
that the
No, you do.
influencers
Sorry.
are the ones. I don't chase trends. I set trends.
I set trends,
So
baby.
people think, but that's what they think. They thought that if they had a bunch of influence on social media, gassing up and hyping up the thing, that the press would gravitate
Yeah.
towards it. That's what bloggers do. I'm
Right,
a journalist. I don't do
right,
that.
right.
And so these PR people got it wrong.
Right.
They're trying to manufacture hype. If I don't see regular, my best people who tell me about a restaurant are regular people. Word of mouth. When I'm going to a
Yeah.
barber shop,
Yeah.
when I go to my barber shop,
Yes.
when I go to
Saran Cassell.
at First Decisions, when I'm in the barber shop and I'm talking to
That's his barber.
every day.
Saran Cassell.
That's right. When I go to everyday shops and I hear where they eat, where they spend their money, and they're telling me about
Right.
places they went to,
Right.
that shakes my. I said, you know what?
Let me check this
I'm gonna
out.
check this out.
Right.
They're willing to spend their money. But influencers, and I have friends who are influencers and people that do it, but I'm often telling them, like, at the end of the day, I don't ever move to what they do.
Next best thing.
Next best, I don't do that. And so, as restaurants, I want to tell restaurants specifically that you gotta be more strategic. And I want to tell PR people this, who y'all hire, to not cling so much on influencers as the end all be all on press and coverage. If you want to have a couple of them come through, whatever, but don't act like that is a substitute, because you're gonna get buzz, but you're not gonna get prestige.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get everybody. We
Yeah.
talked about this.
We're talking about prestige.
That's right.
Those reels will die tomorrow.
Yeah.
But that hyperlink to my article lasts.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you can say, when you got a list, when you have clients, because I even see certain restaurants, I love it. They put the eater banner on, they say eater say, or whatever. That's going to carry weight.
Yeah.
Than some random influencer that might be here today going tomorrow that's out here giving your restaurant some buzz. Because what you'll get is you'll get a first weekend.
Right.
But
You
my
will,
article
and you will.
lasts.
So I declare,
And you get the clip.
I declare Rex at the Royal as what's this called? It's called Day Life. We are doing a day life here at Rex at Royal. We are going to start having parties, DJ upstairs, food. Your food.
I do.
Your food. Black food. Is it in or is it out?
I think that.
Is it in or is it out?
So what I will say is it's
In.
both. I think it's both. I think that
We're saturated.
we are saturated. You're right about that. What I will say is that there's two things happening, right? I think the problem is that we have a lot of culture vultures in the food scene.
Oh my God.
That has been ripping off these
Oh my
concepts.
God.
So as somebody who is the demographic that people want to appeal for those events are, it's only a couple in the city I actually go to, because a lot of people that are trying to remake it, it's not hitting
And
the same
and
way.
the thing is, this
It's
is the
not.
thing. This is the thing. The chefs that really could change, who could really change our perspective on Black food, are classically trained French Black chefs.
Right.
And they're cooking French cuisine.
But we could just like put a different spin on it if you have that education. You can't do it if you're not educated.
That's true.
You cannot change a cuisine or even tweak it if you don't have those things.
But let me say this. I want to clarify this.
It's the truth.
I agree with you with that. But one thing I do want to say though, what I think is important for us to know, is that it's a community effort though. It's about what we celebrate and we honor.
Yeah.
What we expect from them. It's a collective responsibility.
I agree.
I think that, we put the pressure on the chefs, but the chefs are only responsible to the environment they're in. What does this environment look like? Does this environment create a conducive space for people to create that kind of food? Or do we only let one or two people that we cherry pick to do it?
Well, I think that we need to change who's doing the changing.
Agreed.
We
No.
need to change who thinks they can be that person who
but if-
says, okay,
But it's
because I said it, it's right.
It becomes a cliche,
But
right? I mean, right now, I think people say Black food, and it's a cliche.
Yes.
And instead of being able, it's living. It's obviously a living cuisine.
Right.
It is.
And so it should be allowed. It's going to adapt and
evolve.
evolve. It's going to evolve because it's a living cuisine.
Well, it
and so
doesn't
to
have
say
any
it's got to be
choice but
this.
to evolve
Right.
because
But-
we can't keep
No.
saturating the market with shrimp and grits.
Right, but here's but
How
you know
about
what?
fried chicken?
Right.
Because fried
Wait,
chicken is gonna live
don't
forever.
fuck. Do not fuck with fried chicken.
Fried chicken's gonna live forever.
No, fried chicken is fried chicken.
But let's be clear.
Okay?
Everything.
Don't fuck with fried
But
chicken.
you know what's crazy is that I do want to say this though. There's places that keep doing pasta all the time and no one says anything.
No, because
And it's-
I love
I know you
pasta.
like pasta, but I'm just saying there's a bunch of Southern Italian restaurants in Philadelphia, and everyone lets them exist, and no one says anything. But we have a couple of Black-owned restaurants that do shrimp and grits and this, and no one allows there to be any diversity within that. But what I will argue though back is that the things that we can do in the rest of the community in general is one. It starts with people who have resources, right? Stakeholders involved to allow and really get behind restaurants that
I hear you.
restaurants do this and different. That's one.
I hear
Two,
you.
demanding these media people that y'all have in y'all phones and y'all cell phones and y'all text messages to really look at how they're critiquing and reviewing restaurants and band together to amplify restaurants that want to do something different. I see a lot of restaurants and Black chefs that come in this scene and do something different, and when one person, because I'm thinking about Restaurant Alexander, I'm thinking about those chefs over there who are now those two Black chefs who are doing some great work, Montana Houston and Chef Jameer, Wimberly Cole. who are doing some incredible work. They're now leaving Restaurant Alexander, going to a new restaurant, but they're doing great work. They come from 11 Madison Park.
Why are they leaving Alexander?
Because they want to branch off and do something different.
They want to expand.
Expanding,
They want to
right?
expand.
They started, but I remember when they first started there, they had a negative review by a certain food writer who was an old
we
white
know-
man.
we know
who
who
has the
that
same
is.
palate. But the reality is, when that happened, a lot of people said, "Oh, I don't want to go. I heard they had a bad reviews." You meant one bad review. No one was really giving it the energy.
What did he talk about their personality and not their food?
No, he was talking about a lot of other logistical things. But the reality is that the problem is that as a community, I was disappointed that no one as a collective in this food scene rallied behind them and said, wait a minute, we're going to all show up there
Because
and go
it's
to that
all for
restaurant."
one and one for
And
all.
that's a problem. We have to change that. And so what I
Community
did
is
was
important.
I went to that restaurant and I saw something different. And I wrote about it and I highlighted them. I shared them. But I think we all need to just as a group do that more in the scene with our own influences. And then on top of that, when we're doing other events, right, where we're doing cooking events and we're bringing people to the fold, don't expect them to cook that thing.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where I come
I
into
want to
this.
be in a competition on June 6th, actually.
Yes.
At the Women Against Abuse.
Oh, you're doing it. Good.
Oh, God.
Are you going to make it purple? Because they often, if you make it purple, you get a little heads up.
What are you going to make?
I know. I
Purple
don't know.
cabbage, kohlrabi.
What are you going to make? Oh, everything has to be purple?
No, it doesn't. But purple's the
doesn't.
color. But look, as the soul, the white woman on this
white
thing,
woman.
it's like everybody's got to take this into consideration. Everybody's got to read what they're reading and say, you know what? I love tamarind. Does that fit into your flavor profile? Is that why you're talking about this restaurant this way?
Right.
I mean, there are all these things that we all individually have, and you got to look at it. You got to look at it. It's is it because you're white? It's because you're black. It's because you're Indian or Middle Eastern. I mean,
Yeah.
all these things
It's
occur.
all those.
Or
You
are
got-
you, or
you know.
just trying to get transgender?
Yeah.
Is it easy? So one thing I love about Eater Philly is that we don't really write any. If we don't like something, we just don't tell you about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple minutes left, and I need to ask
And you got to look at my
Ernest,
fish.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That is
That's like,
perfectly
I know.
eaten.
I know.
That's perfectly
What's your
eaten.
question?
My question to you is, how do we bring day life to Philly? My son lives in D.C. And so, Mr. Kappa Alpha Psi.
This is a
I
personal
know-
question.
I
You want
know-
your
I'm
son
alpha,
here.
so that has no
Yeah,
bearing.
okay. But my point to this is him and his frats take me all around when I come down. They take me out and they take me day lifing, you know,
DC brunch, that makes sense.
and DC. And I walk into these places, the music is blaring, the place is packed, the people are eating garbage, but they're eating it because I'm looking around saying, I wouldn't eat that. I wouldn't eat that, but they're loving it. It's the shrimp and grits, it's the waffles and the this and the that.
Right.
I don't have a problem with the food.
Okay.
I'm saying to you, Mr. Ernest, how do we bring it to Philly? Because I need to be able to walk out of my house at my age and go to a party on a Sunday and hear a DJ and listen. I'm bringing that to Rex at the Royal.
Can't. So let me say this. There are places that do it. There's a place I went to for Mother's Day this weekend. It was Old City. It's called Frame. And it's an old
yeah,
city.
yeah.
Frame is doing it really
Frame
well.
does that.
I like the way Frame doing it. They got a wonderful French toast there. Frame is doing it in Old City.
Good, cool.
Sin is called Sin, a steak Italian nightlife.
Remember
They just
that?
opened up
Yeah.
a brunch.
Well, I love
That's in
Sin.
Northern
I
Liberty.
love Sin.
They're
really?
doing it there.
Love Sin.
So they're doing
But
it.
I like that kind of
But they
shit.
do it at brunch. I mean, but that's a fun spot. Like, it's
Yeah,
a fun.
yeah.
So they're doing
It's to be
it-
seen.
They're doing exactly.
Is Kavanaugh still doing it?
I don't know.
Hey,
Because when
sin
the
is to be
Sin
seen.
is to be seen.
Sin is to be seen.
There you go. Them and Frame, I feel like those are the spots right now. Van Gogh used to do it for a while in Renton House. Van Gogh.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places. I just think the reality is that it's just a matter of there are restaurants that have potential to do it. I think there could be more of them in the city. I think some of the ones that do it. I mean, like I said, I like Frame. I think Frame has a good breakfast. Like a good brunch where it is music and loungy, but the food is good. They have a
Yeah.
really good short rib.
So, well, the food's
omelet.
always good here. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
the food here isn't the question.
do
It's
it.
bringing the people
Yeah.
here.
But you also have to just make sure that you just curate that crowd.
Yeah.
That's the
it's
thing.
the it's
you
the
don't want
thing.
the crowd.
thing.
So the issue
The
is
crowd.
It's the thing. It's
curating
the people.
crowd, and then you don't want the space to get the reputation. So like when I think of Sin is an overall vibey spot.
Yeah, it
Dinner,
is.
breakfast,
Yeah,
whatever they
man,
do.
I love
So
Sin.
that's a vibe all the time. But like I think the hard part to your point is that there has to be more restaurants, and I think Frame is like that in general too. Like if you go to Frame in Old City, it's like that. 'Cause
I
that
never
area
even
is
heard
like
of that Frame.
It's like that, but there's some places where I feel like they can't create that for the weekend and then go back to like.
Stayed. Yeah,
but see,
yeah.
this
But a
is
good
like,
jazz
it's
brunch
different,
might be
it's
cute.
different.
I do
Yes.
jazz brunch all the time.
I know you got listen.
But
y'all
every
keep that-
Sunday.
I
Warm
want a
Daddies used to
gospel
do that.
brunch.
So there used to be a vibe like that at Warm Daddies, R.I.P. to Warm Daddies.
yeah.
I do think there should be something like that.
I do too.
I think there should be something for everything. I think there should be more of it. I do want to say though that I think with Philly is that every
Philly
city,
needs to wake
every Philly.
the fuck up.
But you know what? To be
okay?
real though, every city is different though. Wait till Center City Sips, the god awful Center City
Oh
Sips
God,
return.
no.
Okay, well
God,
let him
no.
return
Wake
because
up and it's gonna be trash.
maybe it'll
We need a tragic
like
venture
venture down in
unawakening.
some
An
other
It's turning-
untragic
it's turning
awakening.
20 I think it's 20 years old this year.
So to end this fabulous lunch we had today,
Yes.
I want to say we are all bound by fire.
Yes.
Yes.
Cheers. Cheers to you, Ernest. Thank you so much, Jill. You are fabulous for even letting.
You got to give me
No, no, no.
something. Whatever.
I am
Anywhere.
giving you
Anywhere.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Perfect. All right. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Angie, always
It's been
wonderful.
wonderful.
Tanisha.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Ernest, Cordio for you later.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
See you next time.